What's up, guys? My name's Shane. I work here at UAC. I'm a flight instructor, and we're just going to be going through a pre-flight. So the first thing we're going to do is pull out this POH, and we're just going to read directly from it. So the first thing we need to do is remove the pitot tube cover. So that's over on that other side of the wing. I'll come over there. Cool. You ready? Mm-hmm. All right, so we removed the pitot tube cover. Now we're on the second line right here. It says aero. So that's our airworthiness certificate. We can find that right here. It needs to be eligible for all pilots and passengers to see. Next is the R, that's the registration. That's over here as well, right next to our rudder pedals. The O is our POH, and the weight and balance is in that POH. So that's our aero acronym right there. Garmin G1000 reference guide, that's back. And the book's back there, making sure that that's back there. Weight and balance, we've all done that inside, making sure that's done. So that's looking good. Parking brake, this is our parking brake right here. It is activated right now, so to unactivate it, you can just pull out and you can spin it and push it right back in. And now it's it's not on, so to put it on, we pull out, we spin it down, we let go, and it is activated. Won't be going anywhere. Number 6, control wheel lock. We can go ahead and remove that. So that's right here, just pulling back on the yoke just a little bit to relieve the pressure of that. We can throw that over there in the cubby. Mags are off, making sure that the key is out of it and it's not on, so that's good. Avionics, that's over here, these white buttons, making sure both of these are turned off. Master switch, we can go ahead and turn the master on, both the alternator and the battery, turning them both on. And we can go ahead and put all our flaps down. So we're going to be looking outside, making sure the flaps go all the way down on both sides. Looks good. Light switches. So we're going to go ahead and turn all these light switches on up here. So our strobes, nav lights, taxi lights, our landing light, and our beacon light, as well as our pitot heat. So we're going to go ahead and flip that green switch on. And now we're just going to keep on reading down. So pitot heat switch on, we just turned that on. Verify that all the lights and the pitot heat are working. So we're just going to take a quick walk around, make sure all the lights are on. So this right here is our landing light, making sure both of these are working. Looks good. This is our nav light, making sure that red light is on. Our strobe lights are working. This is our beacon light up here, just making sure that that's working as it should. And then again, our nav light back here, just making sure that white light is working. Coming over here to the right side of the wing. Again, we have our strobe lights, making sure that it's working good, and our nav light, making sure that right wing is green. So that's good. So now we can turn all our light switches off, as well as our pitot heat, making sure that that was working. All right, so all our switches are now off. Primary flight display, this is our PFD right here. Primary flight display, this is our MFD, multi-flight display, multi-function display. Fuel quantity, so we can see here that we have about 16 gallons on both tanks. That's looking good. We also want to visually inspect it as well. So fuel quantity is good. Fuel left and right annunciators, we'd be able to see that right here, as well as down here it would turn yellow. Oil pressure, we have that right here on our annunciator panel, as well as low vacuum. So we have both of those. Avionics 1, we're going to go ahead and flip this bus 1 switch, making sure we hear a fan noise. We can hear that fan starting to wind up. That looks good. Now we can turn that one off. And now we can go ahead and click the bus 2 avionics switch, making sure that we hear the fan in the very back. If we keep it on long enough, we'll start to hear that siren noise. So that's looking good. Avionics 1 and 2, we both look good. We heard that fan. Now the avionics is off, which they are both off right now. Low volts annunciator right down here, making sure that the volts aren't too low. That's looking good. Master switch, we can go ahead and turn both the alternator and the battery switch off. So now we can go into the elevator trim control, making sure that it is right on that triangle right there, good for takeoff. Fuel selector, now we can go ahead and flip this on over to both. and our alternate static air valve, that's this right here, just in case our static port gets clogged, we're able to pull that out. Right now we're just going to push it in, so that's looking good too. And now we can go outside the aircraft. So we've already done the pre-flight inside, so let's go ahead and walk outside and do a quick pre-flight. All right, so we have switched to another aircraft. It's identically the same, so we'll just keep going with this pre-flight. First thing I usually do is just open up this baggage door just to make sure that I don't forget to check the oil and the fuel. Coming back to our empennage back here, we are making sure that all these pop rivets are, first of all, pushed in, and second of all, none are missing. All right, so all of this is looking good. Coming down here to the bottom, we're visually inspecting from the very top all the way down to the bottom. This is the leading edge of our horizontal stabilizer right here, making sure there's no dents or dings, bad scratches or anything like that. Checking underneath, again, just visually inspecting the bottom of that. All right, so we are now here at the elevator. It's really important that we make sure that this is free and clear. There's no binding or anything like that. Making sure that this weight over here, this counterweight, is installed in there right here. Making sure all these static wicks are on there in place. We can come underneath it and it'll expose these all these linkages down here. We're making sure that they're pretty tight, not loose or anything like that. And the rudder is free and clear, no binding or anything, as well as the elevator. That's all looking good. Again, visually inspecting both sides of the rudder, making sure that all these pop rivets are, again, in there and none are pushed out. Making sure all our comms are in place as well. None of them were too loose or anything. We can visually inspect over here on the elevator. We can look down here, making sure that the castle nut is on there and free and clear, free and clear. Again, on this side, making sure that the counterweight is in there. And then we can come over on this side, making sure that the linkages are looking good. Free and clear, no binding or anything like that. Then we come over here to the leading edge of our horizontal stabilizer. Making sure there's no bad dents, dings, visually inspecting the bottom of it. And then again, right back here to all of our pop rivets, making sure that they're pushed in, none are missing. All of this is looking good. Making sure that our antenna is in place. That's looking good. All right, so here we're visually inspecting the flap, coming up on the underside of it, making sure that there's grease in here, making sure that it hits a wall, it doesn't go all the way back up. Making sure this rod has a little bit of play in it. Again, grease on this side, that's looking good. Coming over to our aileron right here, we're making sure that that pin is in it right here. Making sure that 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts and bolts are in it. And then we'll keep on heading down this way, making sure this rod is tight in there, it's not loose. It's got a little bit of play in it when we turn it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts and bolts, as well as the pin is in there as well. All right, same thing right here, 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts and bolts. We have that pin in it, that's looking good. And we have 1, 2, 3 counterweights. All right, so that's looking good. Then we can come on the back side, we can move it up and down, making sure that it's free and clear, no binding. When we move this aileron up, we're making sure that that one's down, vice versa, this goes down, that side goes up. All right, so that's looking good here. The leading edge of the wing, making sure that there's no dents, dings, bad cracks or anything like that, all the way down. Here's our strut, making sure the strut is solid in place, not loose or anything. So this is looking good. Now we come down here to the tire and the strut. This is looking good. Here with the tire, see this pin right here? That's the only thing holding this tire on. So we got to make sure that that pin is in it and it's coming out on both sides on the back end. With the tire, making sure there's no flat spots or anything in it. And then come over here on this other side of the tire. We can see that the caliper is in place. It's not moving a whole lot, right? We don't have any brake fluid coming out of here. This is our rotor right here. It's looking pretty straight. And I can look in this caliper right here and I can see that the brake pads are looking pretty good. So this side's looking good. We can go over here and we can check the oil. So here with the oil, we want to make sure that it is below 8 and above 5. So we can pull out the dipstick and we can read that we are at about just under 8 quarts. So that's looking good there. So we can go ahead and push this right back in, tighten it up. And we can drop that down. We've already inspected the oil, that's good. Coming down here to the front nose strut, making sure that there's at least 3 fingers of play in that strut. That's looking good. Making sure that this front tire, no flat spots or anything like that. That's looking good as well. Exhaust system right here, making sure that the exhaust doesn't have any bad cracks in it. Making sure that it looks pretty solid, so that's looking good. Right down here we have our air filter, making sure that it's not too dirty. It looks brand new. Making sure there's no leaves, bugs, dirt, anything like that on this screen. Prevent that good clean air going through that filter. This part right here, this cone shape, is called our spinner. Making sure there's no bad dents or dings in it, anything like that. This is our prop right here. If we did have any damage to our prop, it would most likely be on the back side. So we can see we have just a couple dings and dents, nothing too bad. Just making sure that's looking good. Mostly all those are from rocks, so making sure that that's not, damaged too bad. Coming in here in our air inlets, both of these are air inlets where the air enters and cools down our engine. Over here you can see we have our alternator. This is what charges our battery. And over here we have our alternator belt. So we're just inspecting, making sure that that has some good tension in it. So that'll charge up our battery looking pretty good. All right, just visually inspecting both sides, making sure there's no bird's nests or anything like that in there. All right, free and clear, looking good. Coming over here, this is our static port. This is what's giving all our static instruments their readings, making sure that hole right there is free and clear. Nothing is stopped up in there, giving us a bad indication. Coming over here to the leading edge of the wing, making sure that, again, there's no dents, dings, bad scratches or anything, so it's looking good. It's our pitot tube giving us an indication of our airspeed. Making sure that the front of this pitot tube is open, so that front hole is looking good, as well as this drain hole back here, making sure that's free and clear as well. All right, that's looking good. Here's our strut, making sure, just like the other side, it is sound, solid, looking good. Back to our tire down here. Strut's looking good. Here's our tire, no flat spots in it, making sure that pin is in it and it's coming out on that other side, on both sides, looking good. Coming over to our caliper right here, we can look down in there where the rotor is and tell that the brake pads are looking good. No brake fluid is coming out of this line right here, so that's looking good as well. And that brake rotor is straight, so that's looking good there. So we can come over here, again, checking the leading edge of the wing, looking good. All right, so the leading edge is looking great. So we'll lift this aileron up and we'll make sure that the static wick right here is, first of all, in place. That's looking good. We have 1, 2, 3 counterweights. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts and bolts with that pin going through it. So that's looking good. Coming over here, we got the 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts and bolts, making sure this rod is looking good there. Has a little bit of play in it. And then coming back here, 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts and bolts with that pin in it. And then again, we can come over on this back side, push it down a little bit, that side will come up, push it up, that side will go down. So everything there is looking good. Coming back to our flap, we can push up on this flap, making sure that it hits that wall, making sure that it's greased up, looking good. Checking this rod right here, it's got a little bit of play in it, but it's not too loose, so that's looking good. And so now we've visually inspected the whole aircraft. We can come back here and now we can get our fuel sump. So our fuel sump is always back in this box back here, and we're gonna grab this out. And we're gonna sump every one of these sumps here. We're just gonna push up on it, and we just want a little bit of fuel in there. That should be good. So right here, we're visually inspecting that that's 100 low lead. We know that it is because it's blue in color. Making sure there's no bugs or dirt or anything like that in there, as well as water. If we did have water in here, that weighs 8 pounds per gallon, and the avgas weighs 6 pounds per gallon. So that water would settle down to the very bottom. So this is looking really good here, really good. Coming back over here, checking this sump. So again, just pushing up on it, getting a good sample. And we're gonna do this all the way down the wing. All right, so we sumped this whole wing. We can look in there, visually inspect that it's blue in color, no water, no bugs, no dirt. That's looking good. So we can climb up on here, grab this handle right here, put our foot up here, and we can pour it right back in. Alright, then we can tighten up that gas cap. So down here we have a couple more fuel sumps. We're going to be doing the same exact thing. So I'm going to just find that fuel sump right there, push up on it. Again, just visually inspecting, make sure it's blue in color, no dirt, bugs, or anything like that. Alright. Typically in the middle of the aircraft, we'll find another fuel sump. So we'll just push up on that, get a nice sample. Again, making sure that it's free and clear, with any debris, and blue in color. So we can pour that right back in as well. Fuel sump strainer right back in that box. I can go ahead and close this back up. Now the pre-flight is basically complete. I can go ahead and undo these ropes here, all these tie downs. And then we can go to the tail. Once all the tie downs have been taken off the plane, we can come up to the front and we can spin this prop just a little bit to where we can get a nice firm grip on it. We can push it back. And then we're going to check the tires again. So just make sure there's no flat spots or anything under the back side of that tire. So here we can see this is looking free and clear. That front tire is looking free and clear as well. And over here on the pilot side, it's looking good as well. So pre-flight is complete. That's all there is to it.